Hi, my name is David Wenzel. I am the producer of the film Hamlet Horatio, which is available on Amazon Prime and all your major streaming platforms. We were just featured guests on the Keith Andrew Network show. And if you have the opportunity to be a guest, you will be extremely pleased with the outcome. He's a caring, well thought out, very good host. You won't be disappointed. Once again, it's David Wenzel, and I'm giving the Keith Andrews show a thumbs up if you can see it with my virtual backdrop.
I feel so honored to have been invited on the Keith Andrews show. This person has honesty and transparency that is quite stunning. And when I look at his eyes, even through his glasses, I see a loving, caring soul who's been very blessed by God and shares his blessings with others. And I'm very grateful that he included us.
Welcome to the one and only the KeithAndrew Network. We are here live from the KeithAndrew Network studio. Today we have two guests with us. But the one thing I want to start off, people want to know, what is the KeithAndrew Network? Whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So prove to them and get them out to something. So hashtag break the labels. But with that being said, you don't have to have a disability to be on the show. By being on the show, you support my message and what I stand for. And hey, you make a new friend out of it. So it's a win-win. So the first question I want to ask DV is, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the performing arts since I was a teenager. And early in my life, I fell in love with Shakespeare. I had a wonderful teacher that taught me, among other plays, Hamlet, and I never forgot it. It's been in my blood ever since. I've done everything in the theater, from writing to directing to producing. I've written plays, done internationally as well as in the US. I've done musicals. I've done ballet scenarios. I've done translations and adaptations. And now, all the things I've learned as a performer have come together here in this film. My entire life is reflected in the choices that I made in conceiving this project for film.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, DW, same exact question. What can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Came to New York City 25 years ago, maybe even closer to 30 years ago, from Massachusetts. Studied acting, met David Vando, and from there he mentored me in the works of Shakespeare and Tennessee Williams and Clifford Odets and Eugene O'Neill and all these contemporaneous, classic contemporary writers. And then from there, I've gone on to work I worked on a lot of daytime serials. I was on a lot of soap operas. I was on a lot of episodic shows. I was on Ray Donovan. I was on Rescue Me. Then I spent 10 years of my life working with Brad Pitt on and off on various films, as well as a plethora of stage experience and film, and all that experience is culminated into this production of Hamlet Horatio.
Absolutely. You named two of my favorite, well, one of my favorite. I mean, Ray Diamond, I like Reed Slider. To me, he will always be Sabretooth. the best saber tooth out there. Ray Diamond's pretty good. I never personally got into it, but my family loves it. But the other one you did mention was Rescue Me. I love Rescue Me.
Yep. Dennis Leary. Yeah, he was great. It was
Now,
great.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. But I was going to ask you, are you how would trying to find the there's two questions I want to ask you. Like, are you like on good speaking terms with Dennis Leary? And what was it like being on Rescue Me?
What was great about being on Rescue Me is that we had a script, and then when we got into rehearsal and shooting, actually on the set, that script was thrown out the window because he's 100% improvisational, and it was great being able to actually deviate from that and have a little bit more freedom. So he was outstanding. He was a great guy to be around. I'm not in contact with him since then, but I mean, all I can equate to is my experience on the set with him, and he was incredible. He's a comedic genius.
No, absolutely. I like his song. He said where he first saw himself as an asshole. No, but Rescue Me has a lot of great moments, a lot of funny scenes. And there was a time, and actually after speaking to you, now you got me inspired. He had the cast. There's a time where I was fixated on the show. I'm like, I want everyone on this show to be on my show. And, then it kind of died out. It's like, okay, it's only a phase. But after speaking to you, I want to see if I can get anyone else from Rescue Me on my show. Hey, if you can help me out, I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you can reach out to their publicists and stuff. They're more than willing to take interviews.
No, absolutely. But the biggest thing is I don't pay people. That's, if I understand you make a living, you have to pay your bills. But it's kind of like when you start to pay people, it's kind of like I understand every single person, and TV will agree with me, every single person has a gimmick. Everyone wants to stand out and be different. And it's like, oh, this is what I do, this is what you do. But you don't want to have the cookie cutter portfolio. Like it's the same copy and paste. What makes him different? You watch Jay Leno, you watch Kobe O'Brien, you watch Bill O'Reilly, you watch Bill Maher. Yeah, it's nice to be different, but what makes my show different is the fact I have a learning disability. Now, right. TV, back when you were a kid, have you ever seen someone with disabilities have a talk show? Or DW, have you ever seen someone with disabilities create their own talk show? I like to say I'm actually the first. But DV, I will pass it over to you first.
Well, you may very well be the first. But Keith, we all have difficulties and things we must overcome and challenges. And it's those challenges, meeting those challenges, which make life worth living, worthwhile. Doing this picture was a tremendous challenge. It wasn't a conventional filming of the play in, some stage version that we brought in a few cameras and did it. It was completely reconceived. David and I worked on this piece for many, many years. It started, the work we first did on it was on stage. David was playing the role of Hamlet, and I went to see him do it. And then we discussed it afterwards, made suggestions. And he did it again. Multiple times he did performances of Hamlet off Broadway. And each time we tried something different.
Right.
And it was a constant challenge until we realized the challenge had been met as far as doing this on stage, to reach a greater audience and to be able to give the piece the scope of uplift that we wanted this piece to have. Yes, Hamlet is a tragedy, but spiritually, it's uplifting. And that's what we wanted to get across, which is a very difficult challenge. Very difficult challenge.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned about Hamlet as a tragedy, but why does it have to be a tragedy? Because you could turn it into anything.
Well, we have turned it into something. We've taken the basic given of the script, we've reduced it and honed it down to size, to cinematic proportions. The play lasts 4 or 5 hours if you do it on cut. This lasts an hour and 40 minutes, and it's made for a contemporary audience. We've specifically edited the text so that it plays like any film. Archaic words have been rethought and replaced so that young people or old people can see this piece without any hesitation,
Right.
a fear of the language being too much for them because they were made to suffer in so many classes in high school. This isn't that.
No, you're right.
The experience of your lifetime. Hamlet
Right.
has never been done like this. Never.
No, you mentioned, making people suffer in high school. I remember being forced to see Helen Keller. And I really wanted to cut my wrestling while watching that movie. I'm like, oh no, you have to see it. If you don't see the movie, we're gonna fail you. So I sat like this the whole time watching the film, like, what else can I be thinking about right now? This movie's really bad. But then you have other people. What makes history good, what makes a great teaser a teaser, is you get that person interested. You make it like a stand up. You make it educational. You make it fun. But if you try to jam something down someone's throat and say it's gonna be point blank, this is how it is, in fact, people are like, they're gonna hate it. Catcher in the Rye, it's kind of like, here's a book, shut up and read it. But if you make it more fun, you will remember it more. But the one thing I do want to ask you, and I'm going to pass it over to DW, is DB, I never easily ask people this, but I want to make an exception. Based around your age, are you still passionate, and do you still have that motivation? Say you want to do what you want to do until the day you die. Like, I'll give you an example. From the first time you wrote something and produced and looking at those books behind you, that moment where you got inspired to say, this is what I want to do until the day I die. Do you still have that motivation and fire?
Absolutely.
He
I'm
does.
78 years old. You know how hard I had to work on this project with David and everyone else concerned, creating an artistic team so that this piece is such a makes such a strong artistic statement.
Yeah.
There are no weak links in the chain. It was the challenge of a lifetime.
Right.
And we're still being challenged now, because now comes the part of our bringing our piece, taking our child out of the bassinet and putting it on view for all to see.
Right.
And David and I and our team have been working very hard. Our distributor, Glasshouse Productions, has been remarkably good to us and helping us to get this piece where it should be. We launch it on 4 or 5 platforms to begin with. It's on Amazon, Google Play, Apple TV, iTunes, YouTube.
Yep. Pay-per-view, but yes.
I mean, who uses pay-per-view anymore, right? I remember at a time that was a big thing, but now pay-per-view kind of seems kind of obsolete.
Well, it is on the even the studio films and the releases of we're in what's called a digital theatrical release. So even though we're not in theaters, we are theatrical in the digital sense, which is that pay-per-view is really just purchasing a ticket on new release films. I know a lot of them are not, after they leave the theater, or if you're in a subscription base, you're able to see like A Quiet Place. The second film is now on Paramount TV, but the caveat is you have to be part of the subscription. So in essence, you still are paying for it. It's not free.
Right.
But I mean, then you go into like, once you get to, there's certain stages that we're going to be in right now. Right now we're in the phase where, we're an independent film. We're competing with studio level films, right? And, we have an obligation also to, our investors and whatnot to at least try to satisfy and recoup the investment on top of fighting the machine, what I call the Hollywood machine. So the independent film being the little engine that could. We've won 7 awards, 7 best film awards in several film festivals here in the country and overseas.
Including one from Russia. Would you believe that, Keith? We won Best Picture at a Russian film festival.
Nice.
What does that say about the piece?
Says a lot.
It does.
Says a lot. And and what helps us along the way, Keith, is we've been on a lot of internet TV interviews like this, cable TV, radio. It helps bring awareness that the film exists on those platforms and letting people know that you might have had a bad time in high school with your Shakespeare, but you're not going to have that experience as you witness this film. It was made in mind. And I couldn't agree with you more. I had horrible time in English class. It was so academic. The teachers were so not passionate about it. And when I came to New York, I was like, I'm strictly just going to be a TV actor. I have no interest in doing Shakespeare, until David Vando introduced me to Shakespeare the correct way. Look at the dilemmas in all the Shakespearean pieces. They're big, like Greek tragedies. You've got such a moral divinity in every film. I mean, in every play. You've got good, evil. You've got spirits. You've got demons. There's so many aspects of it that I completely missed in high school. It's like, had it been introduced in the proper manner, of which the storytelling of Shakespeare was brilliant, a lot more people would be receptive to it. And I think we certainly have done that here in this film, for sure.
No, absolutely. Now, going to 2 points I want to ask you, John, I'll pass it over to you, is what inspired you guys to create the film, and how did you guys meet?
Well, I'll tell you that David Vando, I met David Vando when I was starting to try to be an actor, and I was doing modeling, and I was at a competition in North Carolina, and I ended up winning the competition. But more importantly, that competition was focusing on the modeling aspects of it. I wasn't really interested in that. I was really interested in becoming an actor and what that meant. Well, David Vando was down there with his company, and he was also judging talent, and he actually gave me a book on commercial acting. And then to read, and I was reading that, and I started, asking questions. Next thing you know, he said if I ever get to New York to look him up. He got me a job. I ended up getting into an acting conservatory, and he is the main reason why I am in New York. He did not give up on me, and I'm just one of many people, young people, that he had influenced into a career where I was preconditioned in thinking in Massachusetts that, okay, you want to be an actor, now let's grow up and do something real with our lives. That you can follow your dreams, you can follow your passions. Same with you, Keith. If you listen to everyone in your life saying you can't, you probably wouldn't have your own show right now, would you?
No, I agree. There were times where I could have gave up. I used my grandfather for an inspiration because he used to give people this example, like, if I give you my word, my word's my bond. So I never met these people in person. So I would say, this is what my show is about. can we agree to do a show? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then whittle by whittle, and I'm gonna be just my last question, but my agent said, my publicist said, you ask a lot of stupid questions. We don't like the video quality. I thought being on your show will give me more sympathy because I'm dealing with someone with disabilities. And one of my favorite sarcastic responses is, yeah, since I've been on your show, I'm getting death threats. Like, death threats, no one knows who the hell you are, unless you're doing stuff that I'm not aware of. But, there's so many bullshit excuses. And this episode, I was supposed to be in 1,000 by now.
Right.
I got tired of the idle threats. So from 372, I took them all down, wrote up permission forms, and now, thanks to you, we're up to, I think, 862 or 63, but we're in the 800s. I could have said at the time, okay, I tried it, didn't work out, move on. But
Well, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I think, every adversity has within it a seed of equal or greater benefit. Your only good is through the adversity that you are faced with. Everything's going to be an obstacle. It's only just begun. You're young. I can see that you're young. I got you by a few years. David Vando has mentored me from the start. And like I said, I'm one of many of talent that he has found. The reason why I want to say that, and not to cut you off, Keith, I want you to, to realize that your struggles and my struggles, they may be different, but inherently it is what builds the character and spirit. And that's what's happened with this piece. David Vando is a Shakespearean teacher at the New York Film Academy. Our lead actor is one of his scholarship students. The second one that plays Horatio in the film is another student, a Shakespearean student. The girl that plays Ophelia, Paige, is another student of David Vando. Our director is a teacher there, a filmmaker. He teaches the filmmaking aspects of it. Our cinematographer is from the Film Academy as well. So you can see, giving people opportunities in their educational setting to do something professional and to encourage them along the way. And we had those obstacles. And now we get to celebrate, a beautiful film. And I hope your audience will give it a chance to go to Amazon and look up Hamlet, Hamlet/Horatio and watch the film and leave a comment. Let us know that you kind of understood it. We like to know we're doing a good job, just like you, Keith. When you're reaching and touching people's souls, there's a big responsibility that comes with that. There's always going to be a hater. We're never going to be able to please anybody, right?
It's true.
But you have integrity in your work and what you're doing. And we hope that we have integrity of what we're doing as filmmakers and as a message of this film. This film is 100% a spiritual piece. These characters are dealing with the obstacles inside of them. And those obstacles, especially with Hamlet and Horatio, it's the quintessential question is, life is kind of a drag down here on Earth. Is it better to leave this Earth and go to another dimension? We don't know what awaits us on that other side. So these are the questions that these characters are constantly going back and forth with. The same with you and I. I wake up and been doing this for years, and I still have my woe is me moments like, what am I doing with my life? And you have questions and all that stuff, and that's just normal, When you ask David, how is he motivated? I just hope to God when if I'm blessed to reach up there, which is not really that old anyway, that I still have that motivation. He still runs circles around me, and I'm supposed to be the younger guy, and he's kicking my butt,
Yeah, you have motivation, you have that drive, keep doing it, I want to do this to the day I'm 6 feet under. That's how passionate I am about it. I can't do anything else right, but at least I found one thing I'm good at.
Well, and it's really great. It really is great. I mean, David can go on and talk about the 3 Ps that he tells his students, but I think that would be so apropos. I don't want to paraphrase it, but it's something that he starts his first class off with.
Yeah, I tell them that the first P is passion. If they're not passionate about this, then they're in the wrong place.
Right.
What you are passionate about, law, medicine, teaching, computer graphics, or a good old honest profession like banking and Wall Street. Do that. Do that. But if you truly love the theater, and love acting, and love film, then you're in the right place.
Right.
And I can develop that passion.
Well, let me ask you this. Based on what you've seen on my talk show and what you've seen on me, do you think I have what it takes to be a good actor and a better talk show host? Because you've been doing this for a long time.
Probably. You just have to redirect your thoughts and make adjustments. But you're as much as a performer as David and I are, and both David and I have cameo roles in this film.
Yep.
So we both produced it. I conceived it as a film, did the conceptual screenplay as a film. We raised the money, and we also acted in it. And now we're promoters of the film.
Right.
The real reward, Keith, and it's something that I didn't realize until just a few days ago, why our film is having such a profound effect on people seeing it. And I thought it was solely the work that we had done and the power of Shakespeare's words, etc., etc. But there's something more to it than that.
No, well said. Now, I do have a couple questions for you guys off the air, but wrapping up. And on the bottom screen will be your Instagram name, so people will follow you. They better, and hopefully they will. Also, they can subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. We have tons of great formats, great videos. As I always say to our guests, until we meet again, I'll catch you later. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate that.